human race itself evolved not because they're not the best for the survival, because a child becomes independent after 16, 17 years, right? But the adaptation, how you adapt is how you become successful. So I see a very, very good correlation between that and entrepreneurship. So it's more of like when I started, I was looking at, okay, I want to do manufacturing and this is the type of companies. 3-5 months down the line, you're hitting a lot of customers and they're saying, no, can't be done. So you actually start thinking, okay, am I right or should I actually change? So the more you actually start to adapt, the faster you become better in that particular area. So it's more of like that. Are you constantly getting the feedback from what you're doing? Are you changing? Even if it's like 1% change, way to actually get you further.
Welcome to another inspiring episode of our podcast, where we uncover the real journeys of people who dare to dream differently and built their own path to success. Today, I have with me someone who embodies the spirit of innovation and resilience, Sukesh. From his childhood dreams to the challenges of entrepreneurship, Sukesh has walked a path filled with bold ideas, tough failures, and incredible comebacks. He's not just a successful entrepreneur, he's on a mission to build future business leaders by teaching kids the skills they need to thrive in the world of tomorrow. Stay with us because Sukesh's story might change the way you see your own potential. Sukesh, welcome to the show. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we have been waiting for this for a long time, isn't it?
No.
So I'll start with the first question, which is, what business are you in and how are you impacting the businesses?
I'm into mostly consulting in the manufacturing and distribution space. So we help companies to streamline their processes and implement systems so that they can have a much better cost-effective way of supplying to the customers and making money. So that's kind of what I help them with.
Right. And the businesses you work with, usually they are small size, medium size, big size. What is the kind of?
Mostly medium businesses. And there's no specific type of customers. It's more of like I look for 2 or 3 characteristics in the business. One is, are they ready to grow, wanting to grow? Mm-hmm. Second, are they ready to listen to some outside perspective? Mm-hmm. And then the third is like, do they have the right people to actually take things forward? So if these 3 are there, then it's easier for anyone to actually help them, right? So that's what I look for.
Great. So let's take a step back and go back to your childhood. How was it like and who inspired you to take this path, a hard path of entrepreneurship?
Yeah. Look, I grew up in a very small village in India, Kerala. Mm-hmm. And very small so that, if we don't, there were no big businesses there. It's mostly paddy fields, coconut trees and stuff. And so there was nothing about entrepreneurship or things like study well, get a good job, and that's kind of what it was. So I was an average kid doing stuff. So like entrepreneurship, the thought of entrepreneurship never came when I was a little kid. Came much later in my life.
And how did it happen? Was it chance or frustration or?
No, it different things. Like because when we grew up, like when I was doing engineering, one of the things India was actually going through the globalization, just starting to globalize, and then there were no jobs. I was a mechanical engineer, and then we were like looking at the classifieds and in Hindu or never used to see any major jobs, and it would be like the Steel Authority of India or BHEL. And when you look at how many opportunities, there'll be like 3 or 7 or things like that. So that's when some of us actually thought, like, why should we actually even work for somebody? Can we actually do something? But we didn't have any idea. We didn't have money, and we thought like businesses were only for people who have money. So literally, it didn't happen at that time. But then when I did my masters from IIT and then went to Jamshedpur for my first job at Tata Motors, that's when I read a lot about the Tata family, and JRD had just given his step back, and then Ratanji had just taken over. So there were these Tata archives in Jamshedpur, and we were used to visit there. Actually, I visited a couple of times, many times actually, because I was so intrigued by what made them. And looking back at the history made me think that, okay, like that's bold decision, when everyone was fighting for India's independence, this guy goes to British and says, you know what, I can make steel out of, a place in here and, in Jamshedpur and all those. So that's kind of where we thought, like, okay, anyone can do it, but it's all about taking that steps.
Yes.
So like like a lot of people influenced me in kind of thinking that, yeah, we need to do something and, do on my own. Not one particular person in anyone in particular.
So did you do job for a few years before you started your business, or you right from the beginning you were?
No, I used to work for Tata Motors for about 3 years. Then I was in management of manufacturing consulting. So I used to visit a lot of manufacturing companies, work with them in the shop floor, productivity improvement and those kind of things. Machinery, wastage reduction, those, more of a manufacturing hardcore process improvement kind of activities. And then I moved, when I got married, I moved to technology, where again, I was more of a subject matter expert in industries and processes, and then slowly moved into technology. And at some point, we decided as a family, yeah, we need to actually start something on, for ourselves, and let's do it. And we kind of decided that we want to come to Australia and then start something here. So I moved here in 2009, and 2010 we said, yeah, enough of working, let's start something. So was it a bold move or a not so great move? It was, in hindsight, it was great now, but it was not an easy journey.
Definitely it's not. So what was your first business?
So I started off with consulting. Again, I wanted to do consulting in manufacturing businesses. So I went and met a lot of manufacturers in Sydney and said, look, I could improve your process. And it was hard because one, I was quite young, no gray hairs. 2, new to the country. And at that time, and even now, to a certain extent, most of the smaller businesses and even medium businesses think that we know better than anyone else because we've been running the company for a long time. So those were very hard. How do I say? Really hard for us to actually convince them that, look, I can do something for you. So for them to commit to a long-term process and a commitment to a person coming in and doing something for you, some people did, and they got returns and stuff. So I was in consulting for about 2 years, and then got into technology, and then started in the technology plus business consulting together.
So let's talk about the challenges. As they say that if you can survive the first 2 years, you can take a better decision whether you want to continue you want to close down. So let's talk about the challenges, the failures, the setbacks that you saw in the initial days, and how did you then manage to keep yourself going?
It's lot of these come from human race itself. Evolved not because they are the most. They're not they're not the best for the survival, because a child becomes independent after 16, 17 years, right? But the adaptation, how you adapt, is how you become successful. So I see a very, very good correlation between that and entrepreneurship. So it's more of like when I started, I was looking at, okay, I want to do manufacturing, and this is the type of companies. 3-5 months down the line, you're hitting a lot of customers and they're saying, no, can't be done. So you actually start thinking, okay, am I right, or should I actually change? So the more you actually start to adapt, the faster you become better in that particular area. So it's more of like that. Are you constantly getting the feedback from what you're doing? Are you changing? Even if it's like 1% change, it takes a long way to actually get you further. So changing that constantly is something which I did, and helped me in doing that. So definitely the first 2-3 years is really hard. If anyone who's starting can quickly learn, as they say, fail fast in entrepreneurship. So it's more of like learn quickly, see whether you can adapt, and if you are able to take it forward, move forward. If not, stop, because there's always not every business is successful, can be business successful. So you need to actually say, okay, is this worth moving forward, or stop and think about something different?
And I think it's a very good point, because many founders they're stuck up and so passionate about their first idea, they just want to give up. They hang tight and keep clinging till the point they start losing money or they get frustrated. But you have mentioned a very good point, adapting to the change, to the needs of the audience. And as they say, your plan A may never be your final plan.
Yeah.
You might settle at plan C or D. So are you at C or D or E or where in terms of plan? Or you have completed all the alphabets?
No, it's more of like, there's no, end game to entrepreneurship. People talk about exiting a business, but an entrepreneur doesn't just stop doing stuff. It's something which they keep doing till, I would probably say, drop dead. That's what an entrepreneur will do. So it's about like, whether have I done everything? No. Has any entrepreneur done everything what they could? No. So it's more of like, it's a journey and not a destination, if I can put it like. So it's more of like, you start doing stuff and then tomorrow you feel that something else is better, you actually move towards that, and then start looking at whether that would work, or if not, then move. So it's the adaptability which I would probably put it there. More than where you what you really want to do, right? Look at Facebook. They didn't start as a organization which what they do now, right? Yeah. So it started as a group where they wanted to share photographs and some information, social group.
Yeah.
But it turned completely differently when the customers wanted, like they pull you, and then if you listen to the customers, that's where
I agree.
It'll go to.
I'm just reminded of a very good statement I read somewhere. An entrepreneur is someone who works 80 hours a week, so that he doesn't have to go back to a 40-hour week in a job. So yeah, that's interesting. If you have to describe your entrepreneurial journey, in one sentence, what would it be?
I would say, from my perspective, I would say I've just walked a few steps. There are so many people who have actually run marathons. So I'm still exploring stuff and looking at what else can be done. Mm-hmm. So there's no, I'm still, I still consider everything as a learning. Like every day there is something new happening, learning new things, and there's so much to learn, so many problems to solve in this world.
Yes.
I'm only solving a couple of problems, for certain type of people in a certain scenario or a geography. So there's so many out there. So it's I would say I'm just walk this few steps.
You are being humble. Coming back to, I believe you have been in your own business for 11 years now.
Yeah.
Looking back, if you had to start this business again, what different would you do?
I would say more than one person in the teams, the group would always help. Some things which I always struggle on is I've got a great idea for tomorrow. Like wake up at 2:00 and drank a glass of water and suddenly it's like, oh my God, that's a great idea. So sometimes I do write it down immediately because you sleep and in the morning that idea is gone. But then who do you bounce that idea with? Is it viable? Is it like, can this be done? And I know it's for my business for certain type of things. So having a couple of people in the team, in the startup group, and that's one of the things which people talk about startups as well, that more if you have 3 to 4 people in a group, that's the strongest one, which makes it to the bigger league, mainly because you can always bounce an idea. Another thing, you're not good at everything. You're good at some aspects of the business. So you always get someone else who can, work together. And, so if I were to start again, I would first look at who are the other 2 or 3 people whom I can actually do this with, get that idea formulated, talk to them, get the buy-in, and start again.
That brings me to another important question, which is it better to start with a friend or it's better to start with a colleague who has certain working style? Because it's a difficult one. Your friends may not be your greatest colleagues, but who knows? You guys know each other's strengths and weaknesses. That could build up a strong team, but that is debatable. What is your perspective on that?
I mean, I don't know, but the thing which I think is you need somebody who actually objects very critically about whatever you are saying. Because that's, as entrepreneurs, one of the things is that every idea is flashy and every idea I want to actually make it work. But so when we actually look at something and say like, hey, I want to do this, and there's a lot of money and I can see there is the customer, there's the problem I'm solving, there's that revenue channel and all those things. And then suddenly, but there is something which we like in the rear view mirror, which we have not seen, right? So if there is somebody who can actually look at, hey, buddy, yes, that's right, but have you looked at this? That'll actually bring you into much more a practical output of whatever you're doing. So whether it's a friend, if he or she is actually able to actually criticize you in a way which actually makes you progress, doesn't matter. Family doesn't matter, but it's all about like what kind of characteristics they all have, and how they actually can form together to
I agree,
form a team.
And look, it's funny because in today's time there are talks about one person starting $1 million, $1 billion company, right? There was this company Base 44 Wix, I think they acquired for 80 million. So somehow the dynamics are changing in a way that if you can harness the technology right way, you may not need people. But if you ask my perception, I believe that you should have right-minded people who don't step on your skills. They have their own skill sets. Could be a great combination for a long-term sustenance of the organization. So what does the future look like for your company? How you envisage next 5 years?
We are looking to grow. What we have done is, so one of the things which I thought we should do is last 10 years should not define how the next 10 years should be.
Yep.
So we're kind of like looking at redefining what we need to do, what kind of customers do we need. The first phase was more of like one, I need to make money, make an impact, have some good customers so they can, talk good things about us.
Yeah.
Now it's all about like, okay, we have those. Now, what do we actually want to do in the next 10 years is to see where are the most potential opportunities within the system, within the industry which we are working on, and how do we actually can make impact, really good impact on those industries. So, like it or not, I ventured into a couple of good industry verticals like food and bev. It was a bit of a calculated move when we started, mainly because I'm a big advocate of manufacturing. If you can efficiently manufacture using technology, innovation, improvements, and the best people minds, and that can always sustain, whether it's the high cost economy like Australia or US, or a lower cost, cost base in India and Asian countries or whatever, Brazil and countries like that. Mm-hmm. So in manufacturing, there's so many areas where Australia is a big agricultural base country where there's a lot of agriculture. So one of the things which in the last 10 years has happened is a lot of food production has actually started to happen. Instead of a lot of imports, there are a lot more native Australian manufacturers who are actually venturing into food production, food manufacturing, and things like that. So that I thought, and with the increase in the migration and the number of people coming in, and the natural growth of the country, I thought like that's a good area to actually get in. And we also looked at what other micro verticals we can actually get into. And then we got into wine. So we have got some really good process improvements in the wine industry, how we actually do help them with that. And, do a lot with the wine industry there. So a couple of industry verticals we've picked, and then we want to actually focus more on that. So we want to be known in a particular industry that, these guys know stuff. So I'm considered as a food and bev expert in the small and medium industries in the ERP and CRM space. So just trying to actually specialize in certain areas. And that's what our next 10 years is looking like.
Interesting. And look, Sukesh, you are not just into various businesses and growing and making money, but you're also giving back to the society. Mm-hmm. I've been following you for so many years. You run a beautiful program for entrepreneurship for youngsters. Help us understand more about that and some stories of how kids have benefited from that.
Yeah, sure. I keep telling people that I feel fortunate to be in this position, to be able to do something and say that, look, I've achieved something, right? Because I came from a very small village somewhere nobody knew, and I didn't even think about or dream about being here. So I wanted to acknowledge one person who actually always used to tell me, another Indian, I call him the super connector. He knows so many people in the Indian diaspora. And he said, Sukesh, you probably need to actually do something. And I said, yeah, I'll do something. What? And he used to say, why didn't you do that? Why didn't you do this? Like, he used to give me a lot of various things. And I said, no, not passionate. I'm not passionate. And one day he said, like, why don't you actually teach kids how entrepreneurship is? I said, that sounds great. But who? How do I get it? And he said, look, let's work it out. If you're ready for that, let's work it out and let's see how we can do it. So I said, yes, put my hands up. So this was part of the TIE program, the TIE.
The Endless Entrepreneurs,
Yeah. And they had a program called the Young Entrepreneurs Program, TIE Young Entrepreneurs Program, which was run in different parts of the world. And he said, look, why don't we actually start that here in Sydney as a chapter and do something for? And I said, yeah, okay. Went through some of the details. Found that it was like I could learn a lot from the program because it was more giving a much more structure to an idea and how to actually put that idea into a proper business plan using that structure.
Yeah.
So I put my hand up. So we ran our first program through COVID.
Online?
No, face-to-face.
Face-to-face. Wow.
So it was we started off with a 4-week program. So completely. So even though it was part of the TIE, we designed the whole thing. Like when I say we, it's 90% was me, but I had a lot of help from people because I reached out to TIE Melbourne, TIE in India, TIE US, couple of Boston and Dallas, and a couple of people whom I know through the contacts. And I asked about the ideas, and most of them said, you know what? That's going to take a lot of your time. And I said, that's okay. Tell me more about what can be done. And so I learned a lot from that and then designed the program. So basically it was a 4-week program for the students. We brought students from different schools. And one of the things which we did, which I thought was that I don't want two friends to sit next to each other or be in a group, the same group, because they became either complacent or too bullyish to the other team members, or they drive the agenda in a slightly different way, right? So I thought like, okay, maybe we should split that. And we got, I think we had in the first program we had about 25 students, and then we split it into 5 groups of 5, and basically it was. The first day was more to do with the ideation. So why should you have idea? Why entrepreneurship? Why do you actually, what do you get by doing this? So some of the kids like, we know stuff.
Yeah.
So I used to go and interact during the breaks or workshops, and I was like, hey, what do you think? And yeah, we've gone through this fine. So then what we said was like, you bring the ideas. We are not giving you anything. We are basically asking you to bring ideas. And how do you get ideas? We actually had a process to actually, bring ideas and say, think about, give some idea things, where to look for, what should be the, whether can you do something in the next 4 weeks? It's not, solving world hunger or something like that. So it's something very practical and which can be doable in the next 5 weeks or 6 weeks. And it was amazing that after 3 or 4 weeks, these kids were actually presenting so well that I was so excited. I said, look, we should probably have a pitching competition. And then I had some of my clients who were entrepreneurs themselves. So I reached out to them and also through the TIE network, a few people, and we said, look, we need 3 judges from the industry who have done it to listen to a 10-minute pitch. This is what it is. And one of the judges actually came to me after the program. I said, like, how did you get these kids? Because they really blossomed into like real business entrepreneurs, kind of, the way they expressed stuff, the way they presented things was really great.
And that too in just 4 weeks.
In just 4 weeks.
Amazing.
So, but it was because it had a structure. So
exactly.
Mainly through a structured program. So yeah, we ran it for about 4 years. 4 programs we did. And then it was getting too much of my time. So, and I was actually trying to give it to someone else. It was not happening. So we had kind of paused it. I mean, you've been behind me for this. We want to actually start and probably looking at doing something in 2026. So yeah, definitely.
Who knows? Maybe after this podcast, you might get some interested.
I'll be very happy.
Yes. What age group do you target for your programs?
See, it doesn't really matter. High school kids is what we are targeting, mainly because that's when they have some basic knowledge about science, maths, a little bit of business, a little bit of outlook on what life is and things like that. So what I've found is the right group for that is between 9 and 11, year 9 and 11.
Mm-hmm.
Mainly because year 12s get too busy with they think 8R is the end of the world. So they all focus on that one. Year 8s sometimes are not that mature enough, but there are some exceptionally young people who have actually gone through the program who are from year 8. So, but 9 to 11, year 9 to year 11 would be the ideal for them to actually be there.
What do you think is the right age to start thinking about doing business?
Okay. 3. Is that, I always learn or think about things which people say. And, there's this, I used to work for a consulting company, and my managing director, Dilip, I went to him and I said, look, I want to actually start something. And he asked me, like, how many degrees do you have? And I said, sir, what does that mean? And he said, oh, you've studied too much. You can never start a business. Look at a person from Gujarat or somebody who does know only 3 things. How much is my cost? What should I sell for? So how much do I retail? That's it. And you go for an MBA, you learn the same thing in a different way, right? So there's no, so once, the kids who are young, if they actually think about new things, they're trying different things, that's the age when, so 3 to 5, they can still start something. And,
I want to share 2 stories on this note. They are so interesting. It's hard for me to, I always recall and realize what a mindset, those kids would have. So when I drive back to my place, especially in summers, I see a young child putting a small trolley, and that child is selling the lemons. And no matter how hot it is, that child is always there. So sitting there, taking the ownership, no parent around, amazing. I don't see it quite often. The other one is a couple of years back, we were in a place called Entrance, pelican feeding, and my younger one and his friend said, oh, let's take a challenge of selling the lemons. So they just pulled some lemons off the tree, and I gave the challenge of, can you guys get $2 selling these off? They're like knocking every door, talking to people, and saying, do you want to buy the lemons? I've told my dad I'm going to get $2 back. So few people did give, and then they didn't take the lemons. But I think it's all about the attitude and your desire to get out of the comfort zone and to take these things as a challenge. For some kids, it's visible in childhood. With these examples, you might tend to kids go out in cars. A lot of comfort is there in today's world. So for youngsters who aspire to be entrepreneurs, what do you think are top 2 or 3 non-negotiables for those youngsters?
I would say in the current world, I would say inquisitiveness and thinking out of the box, because there's so many, we are pampered with so much of technology, so much of things which we can, so we become complacent, or we can become lazy in terms of like what we can do, and but if you are inquisitive, there's always something which you would say, hey, why is it happening this way? Why can't we try changing? So I would say inquisitiveness is something which, if you can develop, it's a trait which can be developed. It definitely can be developed. And trying to find problems. Millions of problems in this world, and with the technology, they actually create problems. So you have a lot more. You have a lot more opportunity to actually solve things, because like internet has actually created a lot more issues around security and lots of other things which didn't have happen if internet weren't there. So the more we have, the more problems we are also creating. So there's so many problems. So look for problems, and then don't run away. Like many of the youngsters run away from problems, which is what is kind of like they don't realize that having a chat like this is actually important in life. Instead, I would actually text you. I don't mind sending you 15 text messages instead of like having a call, or So inquisitiveness probably. Second, thinking out of the box, and looking at problems. Face the problems when you have. So, and that will automatically drive you towards entrepreneurship, because you're slowly trying to actually get to. I mean, that's what entrepreneurship is about, right? Like you're being inquisitive, or like, why is this a problem? Okay, let me try to solve the problem, which is helping. Okay, I mean, in the process you get money, but that's only an output of or a side.
Yeah, money is the outcome of your talent.
Yeah.
There's a joke around technology. When people buy houses which are on 2 levels, then your communication with your child is mostly on WhatsApp or messages. The other thing is, I saw somewhere that it is important to find time to have lunch or dinner with your kids. And when there is dinner, no TV, no phone, just real talks.
Yeah.
Because a lot of younger generation is guided by what they see. So they compute ocean within the phone. But then the real world is, when you spend time with your friends and family. So what I like about Australia is that here you can do it.
Yeah.
With sports, you can have a fraternity. With your hobby, you can have a fraternity. So,
True.
And you find time, and there's a good balance as well of in your life. So a very, very good point you have raised. So this reminds me of an example. I was sitting with an accountant, and somehow this AI topic came in. And he said, look, I used to have X number of staff. I have half the staff. They use the AI tools, but at the end of it, they come to me for my final decision. So my job is not going anywhere, but now I can operate with lesser staff, which means that there might be a need for specialist jobs, which will stay or which will evolve. But this is a real test of how regular workflows can be replicated or automated by AI. And there's another example of, I was calling at a hotel in Bella Vista, and turns out right till the point of a stage where it could not answer my queries. At that point, it did ask, should I connect to a human? But otherwise, I felt that, hey, almost 70-80% job is done by this bot, because the right questions are put in. So I think it is all about coexisting with AI rather than getting fearful about it, and of course acquiring skills. And then there's a joke about, now is the time we need to go back to being a tradesman, because it's not going anywhere. AI is not going to come and change the tap for me, right? So it's in
young entrepreneurs should think of changing.
And look, after your program or during your program, when somebody comes up with an idea and believes that this is a brilliant idea, how would you challenge that idea? What are some of the questions you want them to think about before?
Yeah, I don't challenge the idea. I actually say, explain that to me. Because there is so if someone has actually, one, thought about an idea, and two, have the courage to come to a person to actually say, I have got an idea, I want to actually run that by you, then that itself is great. So I say, explain to me, who is your customer? How are you actually, what are you actually solving for them? How are you going to make the money? And if they have a bit of a structure around it, or if they are at least starting to think and, start to there, I would say I can be a mentor and help you with this. And yeah.
Is there any child who has done your program? Have you seen anyone really taking it further and then trying to do something? I know life comes in between, HR comes in between, but the proof lies in pudding, right? So it's a beautiful program that builds the knowledge amongst youngsters, but I think it's also good to see if someone is really carrying it to the next level.
Yeah. So we do have one group where they were in year 11 when they finished the program. This was through COVID. And they, in the pitching competition, they came third.
Nice.
Not first. But then they came to me particularly after the thing and saying, like, after year 12, we are going to actually work on this. And I said, really good. Let me know. Here's my number. And you already have my number. Call me. And, I wasn't 100% sure whether that's going to be, they're going to call me. And the idea was average. It's not like the best idea. But after uni, when they joined uni, first month or something, the guy called me and said, Sukesh, we want to actually work on this idea, move that forward, and are you able to meet? And I said, yes, definitely. So we got too excited because, it was one of the first times when that happened and went through. So I still meet them once every 6 months, give them some ideas and ask them some questions. So they've registered their own company and don't want to tell about the details, but they are based in Sydney. They've done some in the sports area, in the sports field, in technology, and they're doing something really good. It's not reached a level where it can, where they're earning a lot of money, but the idea has actually evolved into a much mature one, which can actually now take to bring a lot of business for them.
This reminds me of a statement given by one of the leaders saying that the best employees are the failed entrepreneurs. But then these employees, when they learn the ropes, they increase the probability of becoming successful entrepreneurs. I was interviewing someone who has now built a significant property portfolio in Australia. And he worked with few big organizations for 10 years. And when he went on his own, he was quite confident because he had learned in such big organizations. So what do you think? It is advisable to do a few years of job and then get into business or start right away? Is there any answer to that, or it's each on his own?
Yeah, there's no right and wrong. It depends on, what you're passionate about. If you're kind of like want to do something and then you know what you're doing, then I think probably start immediately after, have a degree or even, I have customers who are dropouts and say, have gone to Bali and then doing some yoga and then suddenly an idea clicked and then they started something. Excuse me. So it's not what stage are you clear on your idea and then start, or technology, particularly consulting and those kind of things. You need a lot of experience to get to a level where you can actually talk about that. There you may have to go through a few ropes before you actually start on your own. But depending on the type of, I mean, I've seen dentists and doctors who have actually worked on it, and then they found that, oh my God, that's a problem. And I know how to actually do that. So if they had not worked, they would not have uncovered that particular problem. So it's very hard to actually say,
That eureka moment is when you see it in the real world and you're in a job. Sukesh, coming back to you as an individual, you are running a couple of businesses, family, and you just have 24 hours, 7 days a week. How do you keep yours? We all do, right? How do you keep yourself going, motivated? And is there something that you do and you want to share with the world? This is how you can keep yourself excited about every day.
Yeah, I mean, there's no magic pill or something, but I think have a balance of social life. I do a lot of micro naps.
Micro naps. It's a good term.
So I can sleep for 15 minutes and then my whole battery is recharged and I can do stuff. So it depends on how you find your way to actually recharge and do stuff and things. So I do that. I try to be active and play badminton and a few other things. Yeah. So it's more of like, sharing a lot with family. I've got a very supportive wife. She'll criticize me on things and then make me think what should I be actually looking at. Also friends, a lot of networks where you can bounce an idea and say like, I just tried that, and or you're in a discussion or a coffee meeting and then they say, oh, I had this problem, and I say, oh my God, that's not just me. Everyone has the problem. So how did you actually solve it? And they'll say, oh, this. That may not be 100% relevant for us, but we will probably say, yeah, I know. So if it is this, then I can, a lot of learnings, right? So it's all the wider community, friends, family, which I tap into. Yeah, I'm not into much of yoga and meditation, but I do go to the temples and stuff, but so just to get a bit of it's a balance.
Sukesh, I would like to ask one final question, which is, if you could go back in time, what would you tell 20-year-old yourself to start doing to have a better future and a strong future?
I wanted to start something when I was about 20, and that was a very crazy idea.
What was that?
And I grew up in a place with a lot of paddy fields and coconuts, right? So I always used to, the tender coconut water used to be so tasty, the fresh and tasty when it is coming from the coconut tree. And I always used to think that there should be some way to actually export it to the world, and it's such a nice one. And if you ask me now, you're giving me a time machine, I would say probably go back and start a coconut water factory or something. But it's more of it's not. I mean, the gist of it is I would say, I should have actually started at that age. Instead of waiting for another 20 years of working, I would have been, or done a few more adventures than what I currently have. So it's more of
start
get
early.
onto it. Yeah.
Start early, fail fast, adapt. Sukesh, I really enjoyed this interview. Thanks a lot for your time. And I look forward to the program whenever you are launching next, and I'll tell the audience as well, because it's a fantastic program. What an incredible conversation filled with honesty, wisdom, and practical advice. Sukesh, thank you for sharing not just your successes, but also your struggles and the lessons that came with them. To all our listeners, I hope this episode has sparked a fire in you to dream bigger, start sooner, and embrace the journey with all its ups and downs. If Sukesh's story inspired you, do share this episode with someone who needs that extra push today. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more conversations that bring you closer to the minds shaping our future. Until next time, keep learning, keep building, and keep believing in your dreams. Thank you.